What's up, guys? Keyshawn Chia here, back at you with another part two of OT Universe, and this will be part three of What If Naruto Was a Hoe 18X edition. Back at it again with the 18X, my guys. Now, this is for, all the people who was asking for a part three. Y'all really wanted to hear a part three. Y'all really wanted to, listen to the story that continues, which I haven't been giving y'all it. And now I'm going to give it to y'all today. Y'all going to get a part three. Now, of course, make sure to hit that like button. Make sure, share it with your friends and stuff and continue the story. But this will be part three, and we're going to do a quick recap, and then we're going to continue with the next parts. So, what we last pretty much left off, pretty much Orochimaru came in. Well, pretty much X pretty much of found the identity of pretty much Naruto Chan, his experiments, and also his love interest he had feelings for. Pretty much, found her and talk to her and stuff. But also, this is where you know young Minato and Kushina was telling about the information. Was also telling X about where she was at because, like I said, he made clones of Kushina and Minato, the first Hokage and the wife of the Hokage, because they're pretty much powerful. And also, put the tail beast, the other good tail piece, inside of the clone of Kuchina. So yeah, and they also have the memory, so they're slowly getting the memory map bit by bit, you could say. Now, this is where, of course, they told X, but after that, but that's before, or you could say after. But pretty much before, Orochimaru pretty much attacked them, gave Sasuke and Sakura a curse mark because and Haku was pretty much with them because if you watch part two, uh, pretty much have a form of a love relationship, has a love or should I say feelings for Naruto-chan, or you could say Kushina Uchiha because Naruto-chan has her whole identity change if y'all watch part two, and also has feelings for Kuchina, which Sasuke is getting a little bit jealous because, like I said, Naruto has feelings for her too. And Sakura, you could say, a little bit of percent of Sakura too. Now, after all that, and after the whole fight, everything happens the same, except for the whole fight with Tintin and Hinata. This is where Haku and Tintin had that fight, and Haku won that, which led to the fight with female Neji and male Haku. Not male Haku. Male Hinata, which that happens the same, which just as the gender same, but this still happen as female Neji trying to go for a kill, which uh Naruto Chain steps in, saves male Hawk Hinata's life, pretty much stop him from almost getting murdered. And this is where male Hinata found out the identity of Naruto-chan, but kept it safe because Naruto-chan wants to keep her identity safe, which you know Hinata says that he's going to keep it safe. Now, this is where Naruto-chan asks Hiruzen for a trainer, which Hiruzen pretty much tells Kuchina Uchiha, as you could say, aka as Naruto-chan, that Jiraiya can be the perfect trainer if he takes you in. Which this is where she goes to talk to Jiraiya. Now, if you further ado, let's get to the next part. All right, sorry about that. Had to get some medicine for my headache, but let's continue. Pretty much, yeah. As Naruto-chan pretty much is going to talk to Jiraiya. This is where Jiraiya is pretty much, being pervy and stuff, and looking into the women's bath bathroom, you know, hot spring thing, and pretty much doing his research. And this is where Naruto Chan she begins to say, "Are you Jiraiya Sensei?" Which Jiraiya begins to look, and he looks and he's like, mm-hmm. Who might you be? Which this is where she begins to say she is Kachina Uchiha, and she want him to be uh, her trainer, which or student you could say. Which Jiraiya says, "Beat it, beat it, girl. I have no time to teach any people. I'm right now busy doing my research." Which this is where she pretty much says, "All right, I knew this would have to happen." Which she begins to do the sexy jutsu, but a powerful one that shows shows her being naked, but not like showing her vagina or boobs or her nipples. This is where she does the uh, sexy jutsu style naked clouds, and she begins to appear naked. Now, this is where Noah's not around, and she does it only to Jiraiya. And Jiraiya nose begins to bleed a lot, and he says, "Oh wow!" And he begins to, his nose make him hit the wall. Now, as he's in the ground, as he hits the wall, he's pretty much saying, "That's quite jutsu there." And she begins to say, "Well, I could do it extra more for your research if you take me as one of your students." Which he begins to be all pretty and says, "If you can manage to do that, of course you can be my student." Now, of course, this is where Jiraiya accepts her in, and she begins to start her training. Now, as she's doing her training, this is where Jiraiya is, talking to, talking to her and stuff, and begins to like train her and see what she can do. Now, this is where he does. This is where they pretty much goes a little bit off, and they go much forward, and they do the toe train. Now, this is where he pretty much does the toe summoning and saying, "If you can do this, then I teach you some cool techniques, some technique, and maybe a little bit more." Which she says, "Okay." Now this is where Gambuta be summoned and begins to do the stay on the toe, and she pretty much completes it with quick ease. Which he's pretty much saying, "Impressive. Okay, all right, it's time to do your training now." Now this is where they're at the place, and he's pretty much saying, "Now I'm gonna need you to pop the boom. I'm gonna need you to pop the boom to master your chakra thing. I mean, focus your chakra in the water balloon to make it bust with one hand, and I will teach you the next step," which she does. And as Jiraiya is giving her the balloon, she pretty much pops it quick ease, and he's pretty much saying, "Did you just do that in the first try?" Which she says, "Yeah." Now he's very impressed and stuff. And he says, "All right, I guess I can teach you." And he begins to teach her the Rasengan. Now he begins to show it as he's forming it without using the hand, and he begins to say, to do the Rasengan, you have to pretty much create a win and explaining it. Now this is where he pretty much showed her the steps, and she begins to do it, and then she begins to evolve, like adapt to it. So she begins to do it and begins to do it with two hands, and then she's getting better at it. Now this is where he says, well, he's gonna be doing his future. She'll be right back. When you're done, just go to the hotel. Now, of course, this is where okay, this is where she's doing the Rasengan, and she does it with one hand with quick ease, and she's saying, I did it," and she begins to go in the hotel to get rest. Now, this is where we're gonna say the Koski, Itachi and Kisame begins to knock on the door. Now, they don't know the identity for the Nine Tails still because, like I said, they don't know like Naruto Chan at, so they don't know. They know who she is and what she looks like, but they don't know like where she's at. So they thinking maybe Kashina Uchiha has something to do with it, so they're gonna trying to capture her to ask where she's at. Now this is where she gets knocked on the door, and she opens up and she sees two members looking at her, and they begin to say, "Are you Kushina Uchiha?" Which she says, "Yeah." Who's asking? Which this is where Itachi says, "You're coming with us." Pretty much just saying, "You're coming with us," which she begins to say, "No, I'm not." Now this is where started pulling out his Sharingan and staring right at her, which it's not affecting her. So he's pretty much confused and saying, "Hmm, you're not infected by my genjutsu." Which this is where she backs up and throws a trap bomb at the door and blows it up. Now this is where she begins to appear out, and this is where she backs up. Yeah, backs up and pretty much in the hallway. Now this is where Sasuke Sasuke is coming. This to talk to Kachino Uchiha to pretty much talk to about his feelings and stuff. And as he's coming, this is where she's pretty much fighting with Kisame and not fighting with pretty much Itachi. Kisame is not doing anything but just watching. Now, this is where, as if they're fighting hand to hand and stuff, this is where Sasuke comes in and yells out, "Itachi!" Now, as he's looking, as Itachi's looking, he's saying, Kisame says, "Oh, is that your brother? Is that your little brother?" Which Itachi says, "Yes, it appears so." Now, this is where, of course, Sasuke is running with the Shidori. Shidori? Yeah, Shidori, and he's running straight at Itachi to pierce him with it. Now, as he's running straight at Itachi to pierce him with it, this is where this is where Itachi grabs Sasuke and pretty much slams him into a wall, pretty much choking him. Now, this is where Naruto-chan, she begins to clap both her hands together and slam down on the floor, or at the at the floor and the wall. Now, this is where tree branches begins to appear appear from the wall. Actually, no, we're gonna say earth. This is where she does the earth style, and she begins to say earth style, earth form jutsu, and the earth from the ground and from the wall is appearing into spikes. This is where Itachi backs away and Sasuke gets let go of the grip. Now, Sasuke doesn't get put in the Genjutsu, so he's completely fine. He just got hit in the wall. Now, this is where Naruto-chan runs up to Sasuke and asks if he's alright, which he's pretty much coughing up and saying, yeah, he's alright, which she pretty much says, we have to work together to pretty much get out of this. And he's saying, no, I'm not going to get out of this. I'm going to kill him, which she begins to smack him in the face and tells him that we can kill him another time. I mean, you can kill him another time, but right now we have to get out of here. Which he says, all right, and he begins to turn to Kisame and gets in the fighting stance. Now, as they're about to, have a round two, this is where Jiraiya comes in and does the whole thing, and Itachi and Kisame gets out. Runs away. Now, this is where, of course, Kakashi. Yeah, this is where, of course, Kakashi is pretty. What happened? Yeah, pretty much is already met with Kisame. Yeah, pretty much is like coming to see if everything's alright, which, Sasuke says he alright. Yeah. Kishino Uchiha says she's alright. Now, Jiraiya's pretty much trying to figure out why they was after only her. And begins to, get curious about Kishino Uchiha. Now, this is where, Sasuke go, well, before Sasuke go back, this is where Jiraiya, we're gonna say later at night, Jiraiya, goes out while he tells Kishino to get some rest. Now, as Jiraiya's going out to talk with Kakashi about what happened, and why they was attacking her. This is where Sasuke and Kushina has a talk. Now, this is going to be an 18X. Extra details, juicy extra details, alright? And like I said, if you can't handle the heat, well, how can I say this? If you can't handle it, get the fuck out the kitchen because shit's about to get spicy, alright? That's all I can say. If further ado, let's get this started. Sasuke and Katrina's pretty much talking to each other, and Sasuke is pretty much, pissed off and furious that he couldn't kill his brother, which he thinks he's still weak. Now, this is where Naruto-chan is saying that he's not weak. He's just not there yet to surpass him. Now, of course, Sasuke is, what can I say, showing a little bit tears, being a little baby, and begins to say that she doesn't understand, which she pretty much looks at him eye to eye and says, I understand clearly. I know what happened, and I'm very sorry that that happened, but right now, just focus on the future, and you need to get strong. Stop focusing on the past, which he begins to, calm down, and this says, says thanks to her, which she says, no problem. Now, this is where, we're gonna say her a little bit, her other side is coming in and taking over because, like I said, she has a crazy personality on the side. So this is where her other side comes in, and she begins to gets close to Sasuke and kiss him on the lips, which Sasuke begins to kiss back. Now, this is where Sasuke lays her on the bed and stuff, and he begins to kiss down on her neck, which she begins to moan. Now, this is where Sasuke gets undressed, and she's getting undressed, and Sasuke begins to suck on her boobs. Now, as he's sucking on her boobs, she begins to moan and stuff and saying yes. And this is where Sasuke begins to, you could say, take down her panties and stuff and begins to eat her out, you could say. Now, as he's eating Naruto-chan out, she begins to moan and stuff. And this is where she, you could say, come. And Sasuke begins to, you could say, put it in. Now, as he's put it in, he's going in and out. And she's moaning and saying yes and stuff. And this is where he done nut the sauce. Now, we're going to say the hotel has pretty much cotton, so no baby. But pretty much, she pretty much, he pretty much done nut, and they're both laying in the bed together. Now, he's pretty much, saying that he has, well, we're gonna pretty much, they're getting dressed, and as she's laying in the bed, pretty much laying in the bed, he pretty much is about to go, and he starts, clenching his fist and saying that he turns around, he says he has feelings for her, which she start blushing and saying, you what? And he says, I have feelings for you, and I'm gonna do whatever it takes to protect you. And he pretty much closed the door, which she is shocked that Sasuke confesses feelings for her. Now the next day, pretty much, she's up and early, and Jiraiya is pretty much still training her of the Rasengan, and pretty much says you completely perfected. Uh, maybe, maybe next time in the training, I could teach you how to use nature chakra. Which she says, really? Which he says, yeah. Now, this is where, of course, the second part to the Chunin Sands comes in. Now, this is where everything happens as the same. The whole fight with everything happens. Now, we're gonna kind of skip on and get to the fight with Gaara and Sasuke. Now, Gaara is pretty much, having the fight with Sasuke. And Sasuke, he has curse mark, but he's pretty much controlled it, so it's not bad. But Sakura, she how can I say her curse mark is tiny bit uncontrollable because she have been training, but not up to the good point. But pretty much this is where she's pretty much cheering on Sasuke. The whole fight with Neji and Naruto Chan, Naruto Chan completely just whooped her ass and made her, did the talking jutsu. But we're gonna and female Neji has feelings for Naruto Chan, you could say. Now, a little bit. Now we're gonna get to the fight with Gaara and Sasuke. Now, the fight goes the same as usual, but this time Gaara's pretty much getting outmatched by Sasuke. Because we're gonna say once you have sex, you pretty much becomes a man and much stronger because you're fighting for something. And this is where Sasuke is fighting for something. Now, this is where the Chidori actually pierces Gaara and pretty much damages him a little bit, and Gaara freaks out. This is where the whole Sand Village and everything is this shit just getting out of hand. Now, this is where Sasuke chased after Gaara, and pretty much everybody's just going crazy and stuff. And Sakura pretty much is not asleep, but she's pretty much fighting some sand ninjas. And this is where Naruto-chan says that she's gonna go help out Sasuke. And she pretty much tells Haku to protect Hinata and watch her. I mean, not Hinata. Sakura and watch her back. Which Haku says, "All right." Now, as she's going after Gaara, this is where she meets up with Sasuke and Gaara, and Sasuke is pretty much having a fight with pretty much having a fight with Gaara. No, Sasuke and Gaara is pretty much having a fight with each other. And Sasuke is still whooping Gaara's ass. This is where Gaara gets a little bit more controllable and begins to turn the odds against Gaara. I mean Sasuke, and Sasuke is pretty much get hit by a tree, coughing a little bit of blood. But this is where he's getting back up and about to attack you until Gaara uses his sand thing and trap Sasuke and about to go for a finish blow. This is where Naruto-chan runs in and Rasengans. Using Rasengan and pretty much hit Gaara, sent him flying to the tree. Now, Gaara's pretty much getting up and that's it, begins to get uncontrollable and turns into the one-tailed Shakuku. Now, this is where she pretty much says, "Hurry, here I go," and bites down and summons Genbuta to help out. Now, Genbuta and Naruto-chan is pretty much fighting the one-tail Jinchuriki Shukaku, and pretty much having a one-on-one right now. Which this is where Kushina and Minato come in, the clones comes in and pretty much frees Sasuke and tells him to get going. Which they pretty much look and see the whole fight happening and saying, "Huh, she really is something." Which Kushina is saying, "Yeah, I feel like I know her from somewhere. Like she's like a daughter that I had. She's like my daughter." Now, this is where Minato is pretty much saying, "Yeah, feels like that too." And it begins to go back to X. Now, they pretty much went back to X to report what's happening, which X is saying, so she's fighting right. The one tells her trick. Let's see if she can defeat him then. Now, as that happening, pretty much, how can I say? Pretty much, Shikaku and Genbutsu's having a fight, and pretty much the whole fight happens as usual, as the same, but instead of like going for the headbutt, she pretty much just knees him in the face and knocks him out that way. Now, Gaara's pretty much down and wakes back up, and Naruto-chan does the same Takonutsu to like Naruto, and pretty much the same happened, but Gaara pretty much has a little bit of, you could say, feelings for Naruto-chan. Now, as everything else is happening, this is where Hiruzen is pretty much fighting with Orochimaru, and the fight is going as the same and stuff. But as it's going as the same, this is where the this is where the summon Orochimaru summoned the first Hokage and the second Hokage. Now the first Hokage is a female because we're gonna say the reincarnation, all that will be pretty much the same, but the female versions, except for the first son of the a little bit, but pretty much different. But pretty much the first Hokage and second Hokage is pretty much fighting Toba, Toby, Tobai. I can't spell the first Hokage name, but pretty much, they're pretty much fighting with Hiruzen, and Hiruzen's having a struggle to fight. This is where Naruto-chan comes in and help out Hiruzen, pretty much send her a Rasengan to the second Hokage. Now, the second Hokage is pretty much saying, "What are you doing here? It's too dangerous. Get out." Which she's pretty much saying, "No, I got this." Which she pretty much formed her Sharingan. Now, as they're fighting the first and second Hokage, this is where the first Hokage uses Wit Style and pretty much, summon tree shoots like we're gonna say tree needles at Naruto-chan, and this is where her Sharingan kind of forms, and it turns into the Mangekyo Sharingan. Now, as it turns into Mangekyo Sharingan, this is where she teleports. And Hiruzen is pretty much confused with what the hell happened. And this is where she appears right behind one of them and pretty much uses the same tree style and stabs the first Hokage. Pretty much stabbing him with the tree, which the tree is going through his body like roots in, pretty much holding him still, kind of like turning him into stone a different way. Now he's pretty much stuck and can't move, which the second Hokage is saying, "Ooh, hate to be in your situation." Which this is where she forms a Rasengan and throws it at the second Hokage face. Now this is where she teleports back in. Hiruzen pretty much saying, "What the hell was that?" And he looks at her eyes, and her eyes has the Mangekyo Sharingan. Now, her eyes is a little bit different. It's kind of like Sushui eyes, kind of, kind of like Sushui eyes of the Mangekyo Sharingan. Now, as that happening, this is where she pretty much is turning back around, and she pretty much set fire to Orochimaru, which Orochimaru is pretty much burning and, pretty much saying, patting off and stuff. Now, this is where she forms two Rasengans, and she used the flying run. But before she forms the two Rasengans, she throws a kunai, and she forms two Rasengans, and she used the flying Raijin, and pretty much teleports, and hit Orochimaru in the stomach. It sends him flying out. Sends him pretty much flying out the Leaf Village. Now, this is where the Sand Ninjas pretty much get defeated, and the first and second Hokage disappears, and everything's safe. Now Hiruzen, he's a little bit damaged now, so he's now looking for a replacement because he needs to retire because he's injured and he can't be a Hokage anymore. Now, this is where he pretty much calls in Kuchino Uchiha and pretty much thanks her for saving his life and stuff, and pretty much asking her the question, how does she have Wit Style? Now, this is where she be completely honest and tells him that she doesn't remember or really know how she got it. Well, she kind of remembers, but she's not gonna tell. And pretty much just keep it a secret, which he's pretty much saying it's alright. Now this is where he pretty much asks Jiraiya and her to pretty much go get Lady Tsunade to become Hokage. Well, no. At first he wants Jiraiya to be Hokage, but Jiraiya says no. He's gonna get Lady Tsunade to become Hokage, which Hiruzen says, "Alright, if you can get her to become Hokage, then she can become Hokage. But if she doesn't want to be, and you can't get her to become Hokage, then you're gonna have to become Hokage." Which he says, "Alright, fine." Now this is where Jiraiya takes Naruto-chan, or you could say Kuchino Uchiha, with him to pretty much to get Lady Tsunade. Now this is part 3 of what if Naruto was a hoe. If you like, leave a like, comment, do all that stuff. But I'm Keyshawn Chia. Thanks for watching, and peace out.
It looks like you lost another one.